In this video, I'm going to be talking about the quackery about air gun eye injuries from a CNN article. So to begin, the title of the article is Air Gun Eye Injuries Rise 169% Among Kids, Study Finds. The article itself was published on January 8th, 2018. In the beginning of the article, it mentions a victim of an air gun injury who happened to lose his eye. His name is Douglas Frederick. Moving on, the study involves kids who are 17 and under who got severe eye injuries. And the study only includes severe enough eye injuries that had to take place in the emergency room. So any minor cases of said eye injuries from non-powder guns do not count in the study. Now, for the misleading statistic, between 1990 and 2012, the rate of eye injuries tied to non-powder guns, such as BB, pellet, and paintball guns in the United States, skyrocketed 168%, according to a study published in the journal Pediatrics on Monday. Now, when you hear a statistic as high as 168% from an increase from 1990 to 2012, that sounds very bad. It catches your attention. It sounds like there's some sort of severe eye injury epidemic with non-powder guns in the US. However, this is not the case as it seems to be when you look further in the article. But that we'll get to that in a moment. First, like I said, the article makes airgun eye injury incidents look like an epidemic. It looks bad. 168%. That is horrible. Something needs to be done about it, right? It's supposed to cause concern among the audience. It's supposed to make the audience look at non-powder guns as some sort of dangerous thing, even though it's used in recreational activities like paintball and maybe target practice with a little piece of target paper. This may move public sentiment towards banning or even restricting non-powder guns because of severe eye injuries, or this increase in severe eye injuries. And plus, the high percentage is a shock factor. It's supposed to amaze anyone who happens upon it. And in today's day and age, high numbers of something that's happening in society that's very bad usually gets people attention, and people usually spread those titles around or those papers around. It gets more views that way because people don't like reading the full article. They only read the most eye-catching part and spread it to other people without knowing what the article is truly about. And to continue to this quackery in this article, it says that 11% of these injuries were caused under adult supervision, while 89% of injuries were not supervised. So this already tells me that these severe injuries aren't the cause of kids having fun or whatnot. No, it's caused because parents aren't watching their kids to make sure that they're following the rules. And from what we can see, the kids who did follow the rules were less likely to get hurt than the kids who didn't follow the rules. And plus, if we look back in 1990, per 100,000, there was 1.61 cases of people getting severe eye injury. Meanwhile, in 2012, that went up to 4.34% per 100,000. Now, we gotta consider how big the child population is in the US in the year 2012. In 2012, the child population was 73,700,000. Okay, that's relatively big, right? Well, now if we divide that by 100,000, the rate per, which will get us to the number we want per 100,000, we get 737. Now, when we multiply 737 times the rate of 4.34 incidents per 100,000, we get 3,198.58 cases of severe eye injuries per year uh, for children under the ages of 17. To get a better idea of how how much of the child population this is, you just divide that number by 73.7 million, and you get 0.0000434. Times that by 100%, that's only 0.00434% of the child population. Less than 1% of the child population gets severe enough eye injuries from air guns that has to take them to the hospital. This is a non-issue. This is something that people do not have to worry about. But this article, from what it's showing, makes people worry about it. It makes it a bigger issue than what it should be. It's misleading. It's deceitful. It makes people afraid of something or worried about something that doesn't need to be worried about. And this is a problem because other news could be covered, for example, like how like these statistics are true, but other issues can be covered about severe eye injuries, such as basketball and baseball. Kids all the time are getting hit in the face by a baseball or basketball. I myself got clocked right in the face by a baseball when I was younger, and it hurt, and I could have gotten severe eye damage from that. But from the CNN article, that wasn't newsworthy enough, and that's quite a shame because around 18,000 a year, if we or no, not 18,000, around 16,000 a year. If we subtract that 3,000 cases per year for non-powder gun injuries, that's 16,000 other kids who are getting injured from stuff that aren't these non-powder guns. So there's a whole other issue. Why are we looking at something that's having a small amount of kids being hurt while the other issues showing that more kids are being hurt than by these guns or these toy guns, these recreational items? Plus, the biggest problem about this is that parents aren't watching their kids. They're not making sure that their children are being safe. And when they're not being safe, they get injured. For instance, a child may not want to have their goggles on because it's heavy. It makes they can't see through their goggles. They get sweaty, etc., etc. That makes them more prone to getting hurt in the first place. Hence that 89% earlier. Plus, kids want to have fun. Their friends may encourage them that, hey, wearing goggles are lame. It's peer pressure is a thing in the world. And then, like I said, this detracts from injuries that other recreational activities cause that are just as severe as these non-powder guns. So why should we be looking at non-powder guns, give them all the focus, when these other kids are still getting hurt? And there's a lot more of those kids. Remember, this is less than 1% of the population that are being affected by this per year. And this is newsworthy how? This deserves to get attention. Why? Because 169% for a study that's not very relevant, that really should not, like, yes, it's bad, but why should we care about, well, I shouldn't say why we should care about, more like, why should we put all our focus on something that's a non-issue? Why? There's better things to cover in the news. And using these statistics like that is just deceitful. It causes people to ban things or restrict things that don't need to be restricted but just needs more supervision. Hell, there's another statistic in the same article saying how another study says that non-powder gun severe eye injuries went up by over 500% from between the years of 2010 and 2012. Why would something like that need to be covered? That is deceitful. Those numbers are just clickbaity titles. They don't help anyone. They don't solve any of our political issues. They don't solve any of our other occurring health issues. They just take up a slot in the news that could be reserved for something else, for something more relevant. And that and that's then that just sucks, man. Why do we have to focus on something that should get the entire population the fuss when it doesn't deserve? Yes, it's sad when these things happen, but people, we need parents to be responsible for their children. Okay? That's all it is. We need more responsibility. And for the sources, the CNN article, and where I got the stats for the child population.